And joining me now is Robert Gibbs, former White House press secretary to President Obama, and Republican strategist Susan Del Persico. So, Susan, what does Liz Cheney's likely loss in this congressional primary tell you about the Republican Party?
It does exactly what Von Hilliard just said. It shows that it is Donald Trump's Republican Party. But that doesn't mean it will always be Donald Trump's Republican Party. And I would bet on Liz Cheney's future and her legacy much more heavily than I would on Donald Trump's at this point.
Why do you say that in terms of she will have certainly a platform in terms of the committee, the hearings in September, their final decisions. But, you know, the Republican Party right now is still Donald Trump's party, at least for the next couple of years. So what does she do in a national campaign? Does she go third party? Does she go Republican in 2024 if she runs?
I don't think it's 2024. I think we're going to look towards 2026 or 2028 for Liz Cheney. And what does she do in between then, whether she's speaking to conservative groups that long throughout Donald Trump and didn't want anything to do with him? I don't see her going third party. Let's not forget, she's a conservative's conservative. I don't think an independent run would be in her future, but I do think she can serve as kind of a light for a lot of former Republicans and maybe Republicans like myself who are so turned off by what Donald Trump, and more importantly, the people who are following him, especially those elected officials who just, frankly, just bow to him because they're so scared and coward. So I think there is a long future for Liz Cheney. It is surprising, mentioned earlier, to see a Cheney not win a Republican primary in Wyoming. That is, I mean, it is shocking. And in 30 years of my business, I never thought I'd say those words.
No, I know. Her mom and dad actually wrote a book about Congress, you know, from the perspective of he was a Republican Congress member, and they wrote a book about the institution itself. Robert Gibbs, so you campaigned against, of course, Sarah Palin when she was running for vice president. You were on the Obama team. What do you make of the prospect of Sarah Palin being in the U.S. House?
Well, I mean, it's a far cry from what I think we expected when we watched it all unfold in 2008. Look, I think you see in that clip that was shown right there, the real rap on Sarah Palin is that she's not Alaska, that she's everywhere else. And I think, you know, we've watched it first resigning from the governorship and then sort of embarking on, you know, kind of a reality TV career, I think is really going to work against her. And now she's spent a lot of her time trying to convince Alaskans that she wants to represent them. And I think it's going to be interesting to watch these results. It doesn't appear as if she's gained a big foothold. And I think it will be interesting, too, watching this ranked choice voting. You know, Lisa Murkowski could well have fit a bill not dissimilar to that of Liz Cheney, but because Alaska is a slightly different state with a bit of an independent streak, and this ranked choice voting that allows really to build a broad coalition from the get-go is probably why the fate of a Lisa Murkowski critical of Donald Trump is going to be different than that of Liz Cheney.
And Lisa Murkowski actually won on a run-in, on a write-in, rather, when she didn't win the Republican nomination one cycle ago. So she manages to get back on the ballot. Robert, while we have you here, the president could be signing this big bill this afternoon. So he feels he's got some, you know, wind at his back. He's out campaigning. He's beaten back the COVID. He can get out there. They've done incredibly well legislatively compared to anything that had been predicted and compared to history. So does that change the dynamic as long as inflation still is very high?
Well, Andrew, that's really the big question. I mean, I think the last few weeks have been impactful for the history books and for what Joe Biden and Democrats in Congress have been able to accomplish. Now the real challenge is taking those accomplishments and merchandising them out on the campaign trail. Look, there's a lot in this bill that all voters, and particularly Democratic voters, are going to like. It has the real possibility of getting particularly younger voters that tend to drop off in midterm elections excited. And it's really incumbent upon the White House and the Democratic apparatus in Washington to get this message out and spend the next, 11 or 12 weeks left in this election cycle talking about what they've done and where they want to go.
Robert Gibbs, Susan Del Percio, thank you both so much.